Hello everyone and welcome back to the good stuff. We are continuing the adventures of Meek and Morphy. I really enjoyed your jokes in the previous video. That Pickle Rick one was not Pickle Rick, Pickle Meek was a very nice touch. But yeah, we're continuing with the match. Morphy is currently leading the match 2-0, and he only needs one more win to end the match. If not, we're still gonna see at least 3 games if Morphy doesn't achieve a victory here. So without further ado, let's check it out. E4 is already on the board. So E4, we have E5 by Morphy, Knight F3, Knight to C6, and in third game, Judge Meek goes for the Scotch opening. We have D4. Sorry about that. Immediately striking in the center, Morphy, no stranger to the Scotch himself, E captures on D4, and now C3. A well-known gambit, the Göring gambit, so the so-called Göring gambit, we have captures on C3, and now knight captures on C3. Morphy often enjoyed even going further with the gambit with bishop to C4, offering the B2 pawn as well. But here Meek is satisfied with the development he's got. Knight captures on C3, we have bishop to C5 by Morphy, and bishop to c4. Both players continuing development. We have d6 and now h3, not allowing Morphy this bishop to g4 idea, although might be that the h3 move isn't all that necessary. Perhaps if you just castle, let's say bishop to g4, you can unpin with queen to b3 as it comes with an attack on the b7 and the df7 pawn. So also a possibility, but it is quite complicated. You have to consider this, you have to consider knight a5, for example, attacking the queen and the bishop, queen d7 just defending, so a lot of ideas here. So instead, Meek just prevents Morphy from going to g4 and bishop to e6 now. Again, Morphy wants to trade here to get a semi-open f-file for his rook, and it's very important to know that this position has never been reached again. Bishop to b5 now, which is kind of a loss of a tempo, as you already played bishop to c4, and now you're moving it back to b5, and you're allowing Morphy this excellent square for his bishop. So you should either just keep it there, maybe just defend it, maybe go bishop back to b3 or queen e2 or something like that, or even just capture. But bishop to b5, not so much. But okay, knight e7 by Morphy, and now knight to g5. Being down 2 points in the match probably makes Meek want to just go for it, and this is one game where he really goes for it. So knight g5, we have castles, and now queen to h5, already threatening mate. Which isn't all that big of a deal, since there's only one good move for black that defends mate, and that is h6. This is what Morphy plays, and now knight back to f3. As the knight is under attack, you could try something like h4, just defend the knight there, but Morphy will just ignore you, and he's gonna continue the game with something like a6, push the bishop back, and continue the game. He's not gonna bother with your knight on g5. But okay, Meek goes back, knight f3, and now knight to g6, trying to get the knight to f4 to further harass the queen. Not at the moment, because the bishop is guarding it, but he does have plans of doing so. g4 by Meek. Like I said, Meek is going all out this game, and now knight c to e5. An excellent square for the knight, and also if captures, which is what happened in the game, now comes d captures on e5, and now the f4 square is guarded for the knight to occupy. And now g5, look at Meek. Meek is unstoppable here. He wants to checkmate Morphy, and he's not even trying to be secretive about it. But queen to d4. Now it's Morphy who threatens mate. Bishop to e3, blocking mate and attacking the queen. Now queen to b4. And here, Meek goes for bishop captures on c5. Now attacks the queen and the bishop. But Morphy could capture the bishop, but he could also go for the b2 pawn. Capturing the bishop really allows Meek to go forward with the attack. But if you calculate precisely, for example, captures on h6, knight f4, pushes the queen back, queen g5, threatens mate, g6, defending mate, queen to f6, now again threatening mate, knight h5, defends mate and kicks away the queen. Queen g5, king h7, and Morphy would continue to play this with a better position, as the black king is very safe there, and the white king doesn't really know whether he's going to go to the king side, the queen side, and it's not very safe in the center of the board. So queen captures on c5 works for Morphy, but he prefers this time he goes for the more complicated queen captures on b2. And now again, he's attacking the rook, he's attacking the knight, and he's asking Meek, what do you want to do? With best defense, Meek actually gets to keep the exchange, but he will be down a lot of pawns, and this is what Meek chooses. It is the strongest move recommended by the engine, so good for Meek. He castles here, he gives up the knight, now the rooks are defending each other. Queen captures on c3, and he goes for the exchange. Bishop captures on f8. We have rook captures on f8, and now it's a pretty tricky position. Meek is up the exchange, but Morphy is up, well, for the moment, up 2 pawns, but white pawns are very weak. So here you could just continue with g captures on h6, knight f4, and so on. But first, rook a to c1. Meek wants to, well, further develop his forces before committing to the final attack. Queen to b2 by Morphy, now attacking the bishop here, and Meek goes bishop to c4. He wants to now, well, either capture here, which will remove the defender of the knight, or he trades and then he just, well, eliminates one of the attackers of the h3 pawn. But here's a problem. Morphy has knight to f4, and now the problem is that the pawn is now attacked twice. So Meek has to go back, queen back to d1, and knight captures on h3 with check. We have king back to g2, knight to f4 with check, and king to h1. And here we have queen to b6. And this is a very important move for several reasons, which you'll see in the game. So here, best for Meek is to maybe try and trade queens and play this endgame, even though he's down a lot of pawns. For example, captures on g5, queen captures on b6, you're going to capture here. And now you try and play this endgame where Meek is down 4 pawns. He is up the exchange, so maybe he could pull through, but it's very unlikely. So instead, Meek goes for g captures on h6, but now you are playing Morphy here. Feel free to pause the video and try to find the winning idea for white, for Morphy, who is black, obviously. Well, I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that the queen to b6 was played to control the 6th rank. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's bishop captures on c4. You just grab a piece, and now if the piece is recaptured with rook captures on c4, then it's checkmate in 4. Queen captures on h6, check. King g1, now queen g5 with check. King h1, and queen to g2 will be mate. So nothing you can do about that. So instead, Meek tried one last idea, h7 with check. King captures on h7, and now queen g4, not allowing this check followed by queen g5 check, as the queen now covers g5, but still Morphy goes queen to h6 with check, king to g1, and now just picks up the rook. Bishop captures on f1. And here, okay, Meek didn't get checkmated, but he's down too much material. Rook captures on f1, and here just rook to d8. Morphy's up a piece, and there's not much to do here. Meek played a few more moves, a4, but Morphy played, of course, the strongest move, rook to d6. The rook is coming to g6, and that's it. There's no way to save the queen or the game. So f3 was played, trying to make a run for it with the king, but Morphy just played rook to g6, and well, that's just it. Although Meek didn't resign here. Meek played king to f2, and then he resigned, which is a bit odd in game 1 and game 3. I think in game 2 also, Meek's last move was not something you would usually play. I mean, you resign, you don't play like a weird move and then resign. This looks to me like it was played in maybe 2020 in modern chess, and then, you know, someone picks up the king and places it, and then the electronic board remembers the move, and then the PGN is generated that way. That's what this move reminds me of. But no, it's actually what Meek played, and it was only in this position on move 31 that he resigned the game. So really impressive stuff by Morphy. Morphy beats both of the opponents he played so far with a result of 3-0. But Paulsen, who defeated his first opponent 3-0, also defeated Montgomery, his second opponent, also 3-0. Even though only 2 games were played, and the third game was won by default, as Montgomery had to return to Philadelphia. So Morphy and Paulsen doing really well. Next up are the semifinals of the First American Chess Congress, so we're gonna see what happens there. And after defeating Judge Meek, Alexander Balfour Meek, he made a joke that was apparently very funny. He said that Morphy should really give him an opportunity here and there. Like, he shouldn't play the strongest moves all the time, because if he continues doing so, that Meek will pick him up, put him in his pocket, and carry him away. Now, either humor really changed in the last 150 years, or maybe I just don't get the joke. But supposedly, the joke is somewhat funny, I guess, because Morphy was a very tiny person, and Judge Meek was quite a large person. And then it was funny because it's not hard to imagine Judge Meek actually picking up Morphy and putting him in his pocket, due to just the difference in their size, I guess. But yeah, maybe there's also something else that just isn't funny after 150 years. But, in the spirit of the moment, yeah, I guess it could be somewhat funny. That's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Morphy takes the second match with a result of 3-0, and we'll just have to see what happens next. I would like to thank Abdullah Rajeh, Boilert Kevin, Stephen White, Benjamin Scholzes, and Vlad Semenov for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.